Hey everybody, Stephanie from Coaching Horizons International Radio. Today I'm interviewing Jennifer Miller Alvarado, a singer-songwriter from the North Carolina area. So Jennifer, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your story?
Yeah. My name is Jennifer Alvarado. Like you said, I am from a little tiny town in North Carolina, and I have been doing music since I was very, very young. Started writing when I was around 4. Found just a lot of creativity and solace in music, and I was an only child, and so that was sort of what I spent my time doing was music, and so gradually started adding, singing and choir and performing and guitar and all those things to the mix. But my heart has always been with songwriting, especially, growing up, middle school age, that kind of stuff. I dealt with a lot of anxiety and just, the processing. I think everybody at some point either journals or does something, writes stories, whatever it may be. And that was my outlet. That was my way of processing sort of what was going on. Any bullying I had, performance anxiety, that kind of stuff. It went up through the music and it came out through the music. And so I felt like I had an outlet from that. If I was having a bad day, I would go home and write. So that's sort of where I started, and it just gradually became more and more a part of my life. I got involved with church and leading worship at church during high school, and honestly pursued that for quite a while. And now my dog is barking. I apologize. Somebody's at the door. So anyway, we'll ignore that. But so just gradually it became more and more part of my life. Tried to kind of back away from music in my early 20s. And focus on a logical, realistic career, if you will. And that lasted for a little bit. And I realized I was absolutely miserable and went right back into music. And that brings us here today.
You mentioned that music is a creative outlet for you. I think, me too, actually. And I think it can be for a lot of other people. It's nice to be able to express how you feel and, and just vent. Music has a way of portraying those emotions way other than sometimes just talking, I think. But
yeah, exactly. Well, and I think for me, it was a safe place. I could, anything that I said in my songs was safe. And I think I was very shy growing up. I was a perfectionist. And so there's a lot of things I think that you kind of hold in because you want to be liked. I'm a people pleaser. I still, there's still parts of me that I want to be liked by people. And so you keep some of those thoughts in your head, and you try to not have those awkward conversations and those hard conversations. And for me, that was my way of really venting, like you said, and finding that safe place of being able to express myself.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So Jennifer, what genres of music do you usually write?
I started out in contemporary Christian. I was working with a worship group at that time. And so did a lot of worship writing, that kind of stuff, praise and worship. And then in 2020, I was always doing kind of the Americana folk country stuff in the background, but not doing anything with it. But of course, when 2020 happened, things shut down. People are at home. And so I sort of felt like I had the freedom and also needed the outlet of being able to kind of share these other songs that were just honestly sitting in a notebook, not, never seeing the light of day. So I started releasing the country pop kind of stuff in 2020, and it kind of took a life of its own. And so that's what I've really been focusing on the past couple of years. Of course, I still do. I'm a worship pastor. So I still do the contemporary worship and stuff like that, but country pop is really kind of my wheelhouse for writing at the moment.
Thank you. And what musicians have influenced you?
Oh, that is a hard question because there's probably so many. I like that I am very eclectic with my list of people. My biggest influence will always be probably Reba McEntire. I started listening to Reba when I was really young, probably 7 or 8. And she was the very first concert I ever went to. So she was the very first experience that I saw as far as like a performer up on a stage, doing something more than just singing, because hers is a whole, almost like a Broadway production in a way. And so it really made me fall even more in love with the idea of making stories around your music and really just bringing all of it to life. So definitely Reba. As far as vocally, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, Martina McBride. I loved big voices. I loved big powerhouse voices when I was little. And that's sort of what I just wanted to do. Even groups like Chicago and Journey.
Oh, I love Chicago.
Because it's big voices. And so I love that too. But I grew up with a lot of classic rock influence from my mom. She loved the Eagles and Tom Petty and that kind of style. But then I had the traditional and the bluegrass from my grandparents and I was with them quite a bit. My grandfather played multiple instruments and loved bluegrass. And so I heard a lot of that growing up. And then my other grandmother was very much into gospel and even like Bill Gaither, Southern gospel kind of style. And so I sort of had all this. I mean, I didn't care as long as it was music. I seemed to like everything at that point. And so that kind of continued. And especially, but because I started college for vocal performance. And so during that period of time and leading up to that, I studied a lot of voice and opera and stuff like that. So I think my biggest thing with music was just the love of hearing a story and telling a story, like the storytelling of it all. And so I didn't care what genre or what style per se was telling that story, as long as it was worth listening to.
Yeah, thank you. And what challenges have you faced as a songwriter?
Honestly, I think my biggest challenge has been myself. I think again, with the perfectionism, and I think when I don't know if all only children are like this, but you have a lot of focus on you when you're an only child, and that's both good and bad. And so I always wanted to be that straight A student, have the perfection, have all of those things. And so for me, like anything I wrote, I never felt comfortable sharing it, because I thought like these are my deepest, darkest, these are journal entries basically. And so I wanted to protect it and I wanted to hold it, and I was very protective over it, to a point that I didn't want to hear any criticism on it. And so I think for me, I finally got to a place where it was like, you're going to have that. Like music is so subjective and it doesn't make it right or wrong. It just is. And so you've got to get past that place of thinking that it has to be perfect. And I think that was my biggest and has been my biggest challenge, is wanting everything to be perfect when we're not perfect. And, I think people respond to real. They don't want to see somebody who makes every single decision correctly, and because it's not real, it's not human. And so I think as I've kind of gotten over or been able to kind of place that perfectionism elsewhere and get past myself, it's opened a lot of doors, and it's helped me to see, hey, you're missing your purpose when you're trying to make it so perfect that you make it unrelatable in that moment. So I think just embracing my own flaws and being very real and saying like, yeah, I make all kinds and tons of mistakes, and this may not sound perfect. This may not follow every guideline and rule that people throw out for songwriting, but it's my truth. And I think that that's the bigger thing too, is learning to share your truth in hopes that something you have gone through can help somebody else in the long run.
When music is about trusting the process, because I think even though there is some structure, sometimes you just have to, like you said, let the subjectiveness take its place, because there's a lot of free fall in writing music, I think, too.
There is. And I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, that's what makes it art, is that everybody has their unique perspective. Everybody has their unique way of sharing about what they're feeling or their life or whatever it may be. And I think that's what makes it beautiful in the process, that it's not some cookie cutter thing that, 30 other people have designed the exact same thing. And I think for it to be relatable, it shouldn't be this cookie cutter thing, because it no longer feels real at that point.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Now we're going to play I'm Letting Go. Would you like to tell us about the song?
Yeah, so this was actually the very last song on my very first project, Hello Life, that was released way back in 2015. But this song was very much where I was at the moment of trying to let go of things in my past, and trying to let go of all of those thoughts of like not being good enough and not being perfect, and saying like, I'm handing this over to God. I'm going to trust him with all the flaws, with all the mistakes, with whatever else, and lean into my purpose instead of trying to control everything.
Thank you.
It's like you're driving down a dead-end road, but it's too dark to see. And you've given everything you have to live someone else's dream. And you've been burned so much you can't even feel the pain. You've always trusted your heart to foolish things. I built the walls around my heart, knowing it would break. From all the lies that came from being someone else's mistake, I took the burden of trying to be everything, until all that was left of me was my broken dreams. Now I'm letting go. I'm giving you my heart, the parts of my soul I've never shared before. I would give everything I had just to see you smile. Freely give up all my plans to spend a little while inside your heart. But I'll come
That was really pretty. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. You have a beautiful voice. So, Jennifer, can you tell us what your creative process is like when you're writing your music?
It's changed a little bit over the years. I think with doing more co-writes and sort of doing this more full time, I usually have sat down and just written stuff at this point. Where before it was kind of like when when something hit you, whether it's 3 a.m., you get up and you write. But now it's more of a scheduled, I'm going to sit down and write from this to this. And I go in more with an idea of what I'm going to write about. But still a lot of the times it starts with a melody. It starts with a riff or something that maybe somebody has said something that has just kind of struck a nerve with me or something like that. And so it starts with that general idea, that small little idea, and you just build around it has been my usual process.
I think do you write about a different variety of topics or like one general area of topics? Or?
I like to write about relationships the most right now. I think relationships, for the most part, I think everybody knows, has relationships and knows the difficulties that may come with them, or the challenges that come with them, and just trying to understand other people. So a lot of times, I do write about relationships, things I've observed, that kind of stuff, because I feel like for the most part, people understand it. I still go back and write a lot of Christian songs and just what God is doing, what God has done, that kind of stuff. And then I also write about just kind of my inner thoughts and those, like I said, those diary entries, those things you put down on paper that you don't necessarily talk to another human about, because it makes it easier. But yeah, I tend to stay with real life kind of scenarios, that kind of stuff, with just the challenges that come with relationships sometimes.
Thank you. And what do you wish you had known when you were first starting out?
I think that there's no right or wrong way of doing things. I am such a type A person that I see a lot of the world in black and white and think that you have to do this step, this step, this step in order to get to what your goal is. And that's just not true. I think that with music especially, a lot of the lessons and enjoyment is in the journey. It's not necessarily in the destination of getting there. And I think for me, that was a hard lesson to learn from the standpoint of, when you're a perfectionist, you want to make sure you're doing everything right. And with a lot of this, it's not about doing something right or wrong. It's about sticking with it, even on the hard days, even on the days where you feel like nobody's listening and nobody cares, and still putting yourself out there and still moving forward and still picking yourself up when somebody has said no or a door has closed, and, still feeling like, okay, it's worth it. And you need to keep going forward. So I think that was the major thing for me, is that nobody's journey is going to look the same, and it's not supposed to, and that's okay. And just allowing myself to not have to have somebody else's journey and be okay with that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And what do you think has been your biggest accomplishment so far as a singer-songwriter?
I mean, honestly, I think it's been probably getting past my own insecurities in myself and actually putting myself out there. I had the privilege and honor of getting, of winning the Silver Entertainer of the Year award with the International Singer-Songwriter Association last August. And a lot of that has to do with going out and playing shows. And there was a point in not too far long ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, that I played my first 2 or 3 hour show, and I thought, I'm going to die. I don't know if I can do this. And just the nerves and being so afraid. And now that's nothing. I mean, I go play shows every weekend. I play 3 or 4 a week. and I don't think anything of it. And I think actually getting that award in August helped me to realize like how far I have come, and just getting out of my own way and getting out of my own head. And I think that that's a lot of it. You have to get past those fears of what if somebody doesn't like you, or what if somebody says something that is mean or whatever, because you're going to have it. I mean, people are people. And sometimes we want to change that, but people are people. And I think that you have to get past the place of letting that define you, and realizing that if this is your passion and this is your love, then no one can stand in your way but you. And that you just have to keep pushing, and you have to keep going.
And you're doing it. I mean, you're going out there, you're singing your songs, writing music. It's wonderful. You overcome your fear. You're on the right track.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So now we're going to play Filthy Water. Can you tell us about that one?
Yeah. So this song in particular was kind of my response to a lot of things that were happening in my life back in 2020-ish time frame, 2019, 2020-ish. And I actually was home and I was playing Jolene by Dolly Parton, and just having one of those angsty days of like just hating the world almost in a way, and trying to get that out and put what my thoughts were out there. And the saying of "don't throw the baby out with the bathwater." I don't know if you know that saying. It's a really old saying, but basically it means don't throw the good out with the bad. Like, don't overlook the good of the situation just because you're so angry at all the bad. And I was at this place of, but what if it was just all bad? Like, what if you just got to throw all that filthy water out and get it out of there? So that's really where that song came from. It's about just honestly being church hurt at that point, and realizing that the truth always comes out in the end, and that God does see everything that's happening, and that it's not my job to do that battle, to let him do the battle, and just move on and move forward.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me, light a match and watch it burn. Soon the table's gonna turn. You think you are the man, talking with your dirty hands, but come home and make it right. The things you took away in spite. Ooh, don't you know? Ooh, the truth is gonna show. To me.
I like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like how it was very different from the other one, but yeah, that's a great song. Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
sharing.
Thank you.
So Jennifer, what do you think helped you become successful in your songwriting career?
I think that honestly, just writing from a very honest place is one thing. Not trying to mass manufacture something. And then I think too, just I've worked with a lot of people that have kind of steered me the right way, and helped me to realize like my own sound and my own voice and how important it is to have your own voice and stuff and not try to like it's okay to take inspiration. It's okay to, I remember growing up, emulating my favorite singers and stuff like that to learn how to sing and stuff like that. But at some point you have to find your own voice and you have to find your own style and lean into that. And so I think that that's been the biggest thing is learning that it's okay to just be you and to have your unique approach to it. Because I think that there's a lot of people out there that are trying to copycat somebody else's success. And it can even initially work and be great. But I think in the long run, if you're going to have people really responding to you and to have things that you're even proud of, you've got to be true to yourself and what your own voice is and what, your own story is, because who else is going to be able to write it like you can?
I agree. You have to be your unique self. People need to see who you are, and it should shine through your music. Yeah. Thank you. So what's coming for you in the near future?
Yeah, so I'm working on new music. I am wanting to sort of go back to like a 90s style of country. Yeah, I grew up listening to a lot of 90s country, and really just that's what I fell in love with was the storytelling and the writing, and there wasn't all of these like other elements coming in. It was about the story. And so that's really what my focus is going to be this year. I toured so much last year that it was great. And I love that. I love going out and playing places and seeing different areas of the world. That's awesome. But time-wise, you lose a lot of time creatively because you're always doing something else. And so this year, my focus needs to be, and I want it to be, the creative side and being able to get in there and get new music done and honestly just create music that I'm proud of and that is going to have a lasting classic effect, not just be the trends of today and it's out next week.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And do you have any other advice for new songwriters?
I think definitely, look at working with another songwriter, a co-writer. I was so scared of doing that for so long because I had bad experiences in the past with other co-writes. But there are groups out there like NSAI, National Songwriters Association, or just there's other songwriting groups that kind of can, first off, make you accountable so that you're actually working on your craft and doing it regularly instead of just when the urge hits. And it helps, with rules and kind of stuff like that. But it also helps get somebody else's perspective. And so you have somebody to kind of bounce ideas off of, but also I think it makes your writing a lot stronger to be able to write with somebody else that may not be your same style, may not be from your same kind of background and all that. You get a fresh perspective on a lot of things. And I think I've grown as a human, honestly, from doing co-writes and just getting that community of co-writers around me.
Thank you. And is there anything else that you would like to add?
just if you'll check out my social media or my website, it's jenniferalvarado.com. And then social medias are Jennifer Alvarado Music. And I would love to connect with you, love to see you out at a show, any of those things. So
great. Thank you, Jennifer, so much for being here.
thank
As
you.
for everybody, you're welcome. As for everyone, the interview will be on the radio station tonight. It will also be at 7 p.m. It will also be on Facebook, LinkedIn, and our email newsletter. We hope to see everybody there. Take care.
Bye.